I think it's pretty hard to deny that there is some amount of power creep going on in Fire Emblem Heroes. However, how do some people just look at this and see intelligent systems ham-handedly shoving this stuff through, while other people just look around and go, what power creep? Greetings and salutations, my name is Deltran, helping you build killing machines so that you can dominate in PvP and special hero maps. If you want help earning all the orbs, feathers, sacred coins, and heroes the game throws at you every week, consider subscribing. Power creep in Fire Emblem Heroes is a combination of several different factors that are colliding together in this beautiful, chaotic display that's just being seen all across the community. And while some people are pointing to the Brave Heroes banner, to Sigurd, to Ayra, and looking at all these things saying, well, there it is, how are you not missing the apocalypse that is known as power creep happening in our game? And other people, of course, are just sitting there going, eh. For starters, before we get too far into this, killing weapons and slaying weapons, really IS? I mean, I understand, you needed them to have more oomph if you wanted people to take the 4 and 5 charge cooldown specials over top of the 2 and 3 ones, but there's no reason to have killing weapons anymore. It's a blatant upgrade. Now that that's said and out of the way, there's no denying that the more recent legendary weapons, Irvon, Blazing Durandal, and things like Divine Tearfing, are much more powerful than their first generation legendary counterparts whenever the game first launched. And a lot of people, at least in the beginning, were like, oh, that's okay, they're legendary, and they're on heroes that are special, so that's okay. And I could understand that a little bit, but we're going to use these legendary weapons as a launching off point to have this discussion about what is happening, at least what I think is happening in the head of IS. And this will basically show that power creep is real, and that also there is no power creep. Deep, I know, right? So what I'm seeing is that intelligent systems didn't give themselves enough room to play with the math of this game. Whenever legendary weapons first introduced on all of these heroes, they had a 16 might, if it was an appropriate weapon to have that, and they also had a tier 2, or level 2 if you will, skill ability, like Desperation 2, Renewal 2, something like that. Some weapons also had an effective against, but that's also like a very, very special niche. Now, whenever you take a look at these, it was okay because they were unique, they're legendary. This was whenever inheritance didn't happen, so they stayed on that particular bag of numbers and didn't go anywhere. Whenever inheritance became a thing for skills and the like, intelligent systems said, no, unique skills and legendary weapons are unique, don't transfer. Now, of course, that introduced another little bag of worms about wording and stuff like that, but we're going to ignore that for right now. But when it came down to it, legendary weapons stayed with their thing. If you had a falchion, it stayed on that set of stats. Well, okay, 4 set of stats. Bad example. Anyway, regardless, they stayed still. So it was okay to have them be a little bit more powerful because it was very easy to compensate for the bag of stats that it was attached to. In addition, once the Brave Heroes banner came out, we also saw a couple of skills that blatantly said cannot be inherited. That was pretty interesting because that meant, in addition to the stat bump that the Brave Heroes had, as well as Sigurd currently shares, and a couple other heroes after recording, the thing here is that you had a very unique hero that could not give away powers to people, whether it was the blatant stat bump or it was that skill. That stayed there, it made them really, really unique, and it made them valuable outside of the scope of skill inheritance as a whole. Now that that stage is set, let's zoom in specifically on something here so that we have some ground to stand on. Let's go ahead and take a look at Irvon. And whenever you take a look at that special that's on Irvon, not necessarily anything else on it right now, you see that it reduces damage from the second consecutive hit by 80%. That's potentially a lot of damage that it's mitigating. Let's take a look at some other mitigating skills in the game just to have a comparison. Resistance. And, well, since I picked resistance, how about let's go ahead and take a look at warding blow. Now, I have them ordered here in a way of complication, and also going basically down to from safest to riskiest. Now, you can sort of see a pattern here. They get more complicated. At the very top, it's very simple. It's easy to calculate. It's easy to understand. Flat 3 to the stat, regardless of what happens. End of story. Go through Warding Blow, where it's only there half the time, and then you go down to what we have going on in Irvon, which is, of course, appropriate to more than just magic, but regardless, second consecutive blow gets an 80% reduction. That's a huge gain, but it's a lot more fiddly than either of the other two, especially the top one. Gamers love min-maxing things. I'm a min-maxer. I hate to say it, if you're watching me and you enjoy my content, you're probably a min-maxer too, but I'll keep that a secret. Shh. And gamers tend to maximize for stability. They tend to maximize for boringness. Okay? You don't want to worry about there being fiddly bits. You don't want to worry about there being a chance you're caught off guard. You want guarantees. You want the satisfaction of knowing that nothing bad can happen to you. And that's boring. So designers and developers, whenever they come up with new skills like this that are a little bit fiddly, they have to ensure that it is powerful enough that you sit there and go, yeah, no, that is better. That really is better. So that you get outside of your comfort zone and you end up creating weird dynamic game choices and opportunities, in this case for the AI, since we can't play against other players, but you end up creating those opportunities for yourself by making these other choices. You get the satisfaction of knowing that you picked the best skill for the situation that you are in, and the AI actually gets to leverage this and try to intercept your planning through a different sets of skills and routines and so on and so forth. So that's point one. Things are escalating because they're trying to get us to do something that's more exciting than a guarantee. Now this is where IS's troubles really begin. This is sort of only half the story of this, so I'm not going to spend forever on this, but let's go ahead and take a look at Blade Tomes as a whole. This started out in the very beginning. They were a tome that had the maximum damage that you would see for a tome, and they had a wonderful special. As a matter of fact, this special really did help them out, but that's not in this video. What is in this video is that special made it so over the top that they had to add a penalty to the blade time, specifically incrementing the cooldown timers of specials that are equipped on that mage. It makes sense, it's balanced, it's fine. But think of it this way. If legendary weapons at the beginning of the game were more like legendary weapons we have now, it would have been a no-brainer to just take away the +3 stat bump or whatever little extra was on there. Maybe even like consider it a downgrade in other places, so that you could not have to worry about adding a penalty to that, and then just add that ability there. Like I said, I know that's slightly shaky, but just think about it for a second. In order to balance this, they had to take away something else from the player in order to give it to them. That right there starts to introduce the complexity that we were seeing. And complexity is not new, gamers are used to dealing with it, but that's what started to lead into some problems for IS. You see, with all these precedents set, now they have to just blatantly increase stats on things so that they can give themselves more room to play with the numbers. They don't have a way to give you anything that's interesting at all because their math was so tight and so clustered together. They just have to create power creep in order to give you a new experience and to give you something novel. They had to create power creep so that you would continue to be entertained. And it's because of that that you could see that they did not give themselves enough room in the math. Or did they? Troll face. So I just made the assertion that IS screwed up by messing up where their balance point was. Basically where they said something was balanced with each other by making it so that that was such a narrow margin. That's their balance point that they screwed up. But they might have had another one already built into the system. And let's go ahead and take a look at everybody's favorite hero to talk about right now, Ayra. Whether it's because of the power creep or the angst that it causes, which is a different conversation. Card! we will be able to take a look at her and be able to see what's going on here. Whenever all the data miners first found Ayra within the game's data, they noticed something a little bit weird, that her growth rates were not the same as anyone else's in the game. Now, I'm not going to explain growth rates, but they are the rate at which a stat grows. Each independent stat on a hero has its own growth rate. And these were different for Ayra, not just different as in faster or stronger or better, but different as in the game would have had to have been modified for this to work. She didn't match any pattern that was established in the game so far. Now, up to that point, it was like the game was out 6 months or something like that, so it's understandable that they're going to want to change things the way they work. But the way they changed things for Ayra was a blatant power increase. She started with great stats, she ended with even better stats, and there was nobody who matched that. The tippy top of that, you had people like the Brave Heroes and people who got the Brave Hero Special getting stats like hers. Villagers sort of look like that, but they don't start out powerful. They start out rather weak and have great skill growth as they go along. Ayra didn't have to worry about that. Her stat growth wasn't exceptional. Her starting foundation was exceptional, and that brought her up to a wonderful level at the end that made her equal or even slightly better than villager stats and brave hero stats. Now, let's ignore the fact that she basically starts with the perfect kit coming out the gate. Whenever you look at her, she's just blatantly better than most heroes right off the bat. Sure, you can point to distant counter or particular skills, but let's not worry about that. When it comes down to it, she is better. Better. But does that matter? Let me introduce you to the concept of win more. Let's say you have a mage, Ninu, Tharia, whoever, whatever, and they're dealing 60 damage to some poor chump that only has 50 hit points on them. It's a win, right? Now let's go ahead and have another scenario where you have that same mage being buffed with a hone attack. Maybe that mage now has a threat and resistance and the enemy's affected by it. Maybe there's a seal there for desperation or something like that. And now you're just completely running over this other poor guy. Which one of these mages is better? I mean, really better. It's easy to argue that the math is in favor of the second mage, but when it comes down to it, you're winning. You're not getting anything for the overkill damage other than personal satisfaction, which I find to be important. But that aside, because it doesn't have any resources in-game, you're spending extra resources for no gain. There's that wide margin there that you're basically throwing away just because of some arbitrary value of better. The mage was already doing its job. This is what I mean by the concept of win more. Sometimes you just have overkill and it's built into the system and it doesn't matter. Now, I'm not going to throw a bunch of slides and spreadsheets and all kinds of things at you to prove this, but I'm going to assert that there's plenty of more to be won within the current units, with very few exceptions, but those exceptions really make it obvious which heroes in this game just win and don't need the extra help. This is where they have room to play. This is why you're able to do something like give legendary weapons a +3 to some arbitrary stat. This is why you're able to have Ayra, who's just blatantly better all the way across the board, because you're adjusting things such to find a little bit more interesting ways to be able to make the game work, because there's already that tolerance built into it. It doesn't matter that Ayra is better in this and that or has like a bumped up stat line. She's falling in line with the performance, not the damage numbers, not the theory crafting, but the performance of pretty much everybody else. So in the end, it sort of just doesn't matter. It's like there is no power creep, because it doesn't matter. Also, sort of an errant thought on power creep, it shows that IS is doing an iterative design process on things, because you once in a while will see a skill on a limited time hero like Swift Sparrow suddenly come off of being from that limited unit and into the general pool for people to consume. Notice that we don't have an equivalent of infantry pulse except for quicken pulse, which is very, very narrow in scope and quite a bit different because it doesn't just affect infantry anymore, but it's totally different. That was basically IS taking a look at things and wondering, well, could you do this, could you do that? And at least as of recording, we don't have Infantry Pulse just available just because. It's stuck on a limited edition unit that if you don't have it by now, sorry. So I think that IS is doing a good job of iterating. It seems weird what they're doing because some numbers are just obviously better. I mean, like, if a number is bigger than another number, it's better. But the thing is, the math has enough tolerance in this game that it can handle it. And so while it doesn't feel right to some people, the performance is pretty much the same. So that's why there is power creep, but there isn't. So what do you guys think about power creep in this game? Have you guys talked about this way too much and hate this conversation already? Or have I given you something else to chew on? Let me know down in the comments what you think, and hey, do me a favor, if you like your Fire Emblem information hot and fresh like Grandma's cookies, hit that subscribe button. My name is Deltra, and thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you, and until next time, take it easy.